during the 60s and 70s, trade just slowly died off due to containerization. Of course, the big container ships, they can't come this far upriver. In the 80s though, developers started buying these warehouses up and converting them into what us locals call luxury and affordable housing. And Oliver's Wharf was the first one to be converted. Quite a famous singer bought a place there. You guys heard of Cher? Yeah, she's quite famous. Well, she didn't know that we go past every half an hour and point to it, tell people where she lives. So eventually, as you can imagine, she got a bit fed up, things got weird, people were turning up at her door. So she went over to our base, Cherry Garden Pier, just on the right. And with a lot more swearing involved, as you can imagine, she said, "Guys, can you stop telling people where I live or I will sue you?" See, I've been able to tell you today because she's moved further downriver. And I'll be damn sure to point out where that is, don't you worry. I'm not scared of Cher. We can defeat her together. Well, I say that, but she's pretty much eternal, isn't she? She just keeps going on and on. There's probably more plastic in her than in this river by now, but she'll definitely float. You're correct, man. Did we just find the limit there? Nah. Right guys, on the way to Greenwich, I'm going to be talking about a lot of pubs. I am not a borderline alcoholic, and they just call us enthusiasts these days, but there's just lots of them. Most of them are historic. On our left there, the first one is called the Captain Kidd, built in an area called Wapping. Very rough, East England. Back in the good old days, if you were sentenced to death for certain crimes, you'd face something called the Grace of Wapping. So you'd be brought to the shores there in front of the pub, you'd be tied to a stake. They would wait for 3 tides to pass over your head before cutting your body down, dipping it in tar, and placing it along the riverbank as a warning to other potential criminals. The Grace of Wapping. We still got any Americans on here, right? Yeah. Look to the right, there's a little pub called the Mayflower. It's a familiar name, isn't it? The Mayflower. Yeah, very good reason. The ship, which obviously shared the same name, which carried pilgrims over to the New World, she set off from the shores here, from Rotherhithe. She stopped off in Plymouth and then of course carried on to America. When she came back to England at the end of her working life, this is where she was broken up as well. And quite a lot of the material salvaged from the Mayflower went into building that very pub. So if you go in there, it's, well, very nice, it's atmospheric, but everything's warm